Hey, I'm Roger EUC, and today we're going to be messing with somebody else's wheel. That's Eli right there.
Hello.
And that's Eli's race. That's my race. My race feels good. His race feels bad. So, do you know what we're doing to your wheel to make it feel better today?
We are going to raise the suspension, right? Raise the ride height of the battery boxes.
Pretty much raising the battery boxes. The whole thing goes up. The hub, the pedal hangers, everything else actually stays at the same height. Cool. Which is kind of tough to wrap your mind around, I think. But
I believe you.
We'll do it.
Yeah.
Another thing we're doing is we're going to change the oil in the shocks to 2.5 weight. I think they're filled with molasses by default, which sort of sucks. So to do everything that we're doing today, the list of tools, or not tools, items required, gonna be, these are the spring spacers. So when the shock is elongated, because that's actually what we're gonna do, we're gonna add that much travel to the suspension on the thing. The springs don't have enough push to keep the sag proper. So we're gonna use these, and we're going to use the oil, which we already talked about. And then the only other thing that you end up with when you're all done is 8 extra screws, which normally means you did something wrong. But I'm telling you right now, if we have 8 screws left when we're done, we did good. So first thing we're going to do is, you can see how mine looks all naked. All this stuff is off, blah, blah, blah. We're going to do the same thing to Eli's wheel. I don't think it's actually necessary to take off the kickstand and the front thing for the LEDs, but you do have to take off this thing, so which also involves undoing a fair amount of other stuff. So we're going to take off his pads and get that going. I think you can figure that part out, so I don't think we're going to film it for real, but we might do some B-roll-y kind of stuff. B-roll has nothing to do with your B-hole. So just because I don't really know or remember what interferes with what, we're just going to take off this panel, probably the headlight, the trolley handle, and make sure that we can get the sides of the wheel out of the way. So all we need to do is access the suspension tube thing in here. So yeah, we'll see what needs to come off, but I know that on mine, I just sort of spread the batteries apart. First thing comes off, the pedal hanger. Well, it's supposed to come off, but you know what I'm saying. So, taking off this little panel-y thing. So that's a 4, and then I believe everything else is a 3. And for some reason, Begode decided to use Phillips heads on the perimeter. And if you are watching me do all this, saying, you shouldn't be using power tools to do that on your wheel, it's not my wheel, okay? Okay, so now we're almost able to take the pedal hanger off. It's these 6 T25s. T25s all over around the middle. We got our 4 millimeters and our 3 millimeters. We're going to take all that off, and then that'll give us enough to get the batteries spread open to take out this, which is with a 17 millimeter down here. Maybe 2 fingers is proper. Okay. Okay, so I did misspeak earlier. These, just like all other Begodes, are the 4 millimeters, and then the ones for the suspension, the part that holds the top of that together, those are 5 millimeters. 5 and 5, and you can tell the difference when you stick them in your pile of bolts because they look different. Let's see. Hey, we've done what we needed to do for now. So we've got access to the suspension here. This guy is now able to be removed with the slider things. We're going to put this aside. All of this junk is going to go and hang out on another table for a while. And we're going to be decompressing this spring. We're going to take that out because to pull it up, It's kind of tough, just like this, but because this whole part you need to screw clockwise from the bottom, and that'll de-thread this whole thing out, but then you need to compress the shock in order to lift it up and out. So one thing at a time. So let's, I guess, yeah, let's go ahead and start doing this stuff. So being that I'm lazy, I have a drill here, number 1 for high torque, and I'm gonna take just something to kind of help get me started with the whole suspension thing. So what I do is I start pushing in pretty hard so that I don't screw up the threads. Once I'm done, and then I keep going to unscrew this collar so that we can take the thing apart. Now we've accomplished those 2 things that I said. We've de-threaded that. We found a way to compress this shock so that we can lift the whole thing out all nice like that. That's going to be our next subject. All right, so unscrewed this thing all the way, took it off, slid out the spring. If you want to know what this white thing is, pretty much its only purpose is to make sure that the coil doesn't hit that stanchion thing. Would have made more sense, in my opinion, to use one of those xylophone-y things to protect it from dirt, because that doesn't actually keep it clean. So on my wheel, I actually did not even replace that, because I just thought that's one more thing that could potentially bind up. But anyway, now we're going to take this nut off, drain the oil, then, okay, this is where things get a little weird. This is threaded into the top here. We're gonna have to, wait, actually, there. This is threaded into the top here. You can see there's a flat spot there and a flat spot there. We're gonna take a crescent wrench and screw that off, then slide the entire piston and everything out, and we'll find a surprise inside that we're going to discard that's going to be living with those 8 extra screws when we're all done. Okay, we are at the next stage, which is getting the oil out of this thing and modifying it to be longer. So, to do that, instead of getting things to clamp onto this tube, I just use my impact driver, and I put that on there, put it in reverse, and then that's how hard that is to undo. You kind of want it to be a little bit tight when you put things together, because you actually have to turn this counterclockwise to get these threads back into the pedal hanger zone of the wheel. So I could have been more lazy and kept hitting the button to unscrew this all the way so I don't have to do it by hand, but let's just say I was doing it so that I'd have time to talk to the camera. Hi, camera. All right, so we are now, you could hear the suction in there. It is kind of weird, that little rubbery thing. I don't even know if I had that little rubbery thing. You got better shocks than me, Eli. Okay, so now, what I do first is I look at how much air is in there. So you want to kind of match the same amount of air, and I'm doing that even though I'm elongating the shock, which will give you a bit more of a progressive feel to the shock. So we're going to just say goodbye. We could save the oil if we want to look at it, especially since there could be like environmentalists watching that are going to be like, he poured oil down the drain. But I just kind of want to inspect it. So let's see what we got. It's not that bad. So there's still going to be some that we want to find on the other side of the piston. So you want to cycle it a little bit. Oh, look at how smooth that operates. Whoops. But yeah, the smoke, I don't know what the heck that is. If somebody knows what that's all about, let me know, because mine did that also. There we go. Now that's part one. Part two is you unscrew this, and then I try to keep the whole world oriented the same way. So that's the top of the shock for me. So anything I put down on the table, I orient in that way so I don't try to put it back together backwards, even though you could look at it and logically figure out which way it's supposed to go. Now, we are deeper. And what the heck is all of this stuff? It is not just on the threads, it is inside the shock. It gets in the oil, which means it also gets into the little, see this piston? The way the shock works is so that slides up and down inside the oil, and there's a little hole in the middle, and the oil passes through that into the center of this thing, and this little blue thing moves that needle that has a cut. We'll actually get to see it in a second, but that's how it adjusts the damping. It's both directions, the same thing, and I think we'll stop the camera for a second because I'm all slippery and I need to grab a paper towel. All right, now we get to the part where we find some extra parts. It's this white thing. Nothing to do with race. It's just a color. Oh, we found more oil. Woo. That's why you have to cycle the shock. When you put the oil in, you got to make sure that it goes all the way up, all the way down, and you will get all of the oil where it needs to go. I mean, getting it out, who cares? When you're putting new oil in, it's got important stuff. Now, people will say, oh, you're removing the spacer entirely. You need to shorten the spacer by the amount you're... No. The frame of the wheel will limit the shock travel, so we don't need to worry about it overextending itself, or the compression part is pretty much unchanged. But yeah, I'm just got all these little red things all over it. Okay, so we have now done what we need to do. This was limiting how far this can extend. Now it's gone. So we are ready to start putting things back together. Just make sure you get all this little red crap out of the way. Oh, so how it works, this needle thing is what goes into the center part of this piston, and that sort of limits the amount of fluid, or how fast the fluid can pass through the center hole of that piston, which is what they call damping. Not dampening. But I've been quite dampened by oil right now. More vocabulary lessons later. All right, but yeah, I also don't want that red thing. See, it's half on the seal and half not. For me, that's how you make stuff leak. So either be all on the seal or all off the seal. So we'll get it all off the seal. The green thing is the seal. Again, we don't care about color. I'm really impressed. Eli's holding the camera, and normally, like by now, he would have said stupid like 5 times as I'm talking, but he didn't say it once. He's keeping it to himself.
I'm trying.
All right, so this, get it kind of tight. It doesn't have to be super tight, but you want the metal to be all the way across the green thing, which is the seal. And it's going to be the same thing. So we were having it oriented this way. Up is always that way, right? So now this I pick up, and I could slide back on there and screw that together. And now we're ready to add new oil to this thing. Which on mine, I had to use the, I just keep looking at myself thinking, oh my God, I cut myself bad, but it's that stupid red crap. So on mine, I actually had to use a crescent wrench to get this thing taken apart. And also, you get oil all over everything, and then you put your wheel back together thinking it's just clean and shiny. Then you ride it for a couple days, and you look at it again, and you think your shock's leaking, but it's just the oil you left from a few days ago. So maybe, I don't know, maybe your shock is leaking. Hi, Cameron. Cameron just messaged me today saying, I think my shock's leaking. I'm like, oh. Anyway, that'll be past the thing, so we're good. I just want it sort of smooth in there, no big chunks. So now we're going to do the cycling thing, and we're also going to make sure that so when you're doing this, you want to unscrew the blue thing all the way. That'll help the oil get to both sides of where it needs to be. Okay, so we're about ready for it now. All right, so oil is going in, and when you cycle this thing, you pour oil in, then you're going to compress the shock, and all the oil is going to be displaced by that piston, and you're going to make a mess. So don't do what I just did. Damn it. I was going to say, don't do that, because now it won't drop into the other part until you cycle it. Maybe I could save that oil by covering it up a little bit. You can hear it. Yeah, there's some oil dropping out because I can't extend it back again. That was mostly air. Okay, we got it to fall in. That's good. I like this oil because it looks like blood. Like I'm a bloody mess. All right, so I'm sure you're not supposed to do this, but I'm gonna just see if there's any bubbles that can come out of there. But yeah, the smart people are gonna watch this and be like, don't do that. You're just going to cause little bubbles to be stuck that will never come out. I'm like, okay, sorry. Okay, well, I'm going to add some oil so the amount of air in there is about equal to what I showed you before. And then I'm going to put the cap on and I'm going to cycle it a bunch. And then I'm going to take the cap off again, just because I'm a curious kind of guy and I want to see what's in there. I just want to see if extra air bubbles popped out, because I won't need to be quite as careful with it after all of this. I didn't kill that oil monster, no. Okay, so the shock is a lot harder now to compress all the way because the extra volume of oil in there. So I kind of like that. I did that to mine on purpose, but let's see what we end up with. We're going to cycle it this way, flip it over. I think it's got too much oil in it. Mine had a lot more air than Eli's. I thought Eli's was correct. I think mine was correct. I think we need to let some of this oil out. Yeah. Let's do it. Okay, so instead of about 1 inch of air at the top, I'm going to put about 1.5 inches of air at the top. That's smoke. Okay, there's like, it's air all the way down to here now. Look at that.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, what I was doing is a good thing. But I still feel like there's too much oil in there. Although Eli's a heavy guy, this adds a progressive nature to the spring, up to the point where you fully displace all the oil and then the air is totally compressed. But that'll also help alleviate cavitation. Those that know. So yeah, let's just call it good, I guess, because we've got the extra air, the amount of how much longer the spring. Oh, but the spring really isn't that long. I just remembered. So we have to remember that this is going to be our suspension travel, which is going to be around, what is it by default, 90?
I have no idea.
So if it's 90, then we need 110 out of that. So that looks to be about 110. Measure it on your screen. Okay. Yeah. Let's call it good. I dig it. So we are beyond the threads by about the amount the air was in last time. So let's get this guy back together and then we'll worry about the other side of the wheel. We're going to assemble both sides at the same time. That's not gonna leak. Oh yeah, another thing is, don't try to put this together while it's compressed, because you'll feel real dumb when you try to extend it. You know what I mean. Yeah, it still feels sluggish, but I'm sure it's better than it was before. Yes. Okay, next side. All right, so since I don't have to pick the wheel up and flip it over and then pick it up again and flip it over again, we're gonna just put together this side. There's really no reason not to. We're gonna try to get the suspension collar as far up as we can and still be able to reassemble it, because it's really tough to turn this after that little brace is there in the middle. But let's start putting it together and then flip it over, get the other side. We're gonna do the pedal hanger last. So this stupid thing goes back on because Eli didn't tell me to skip it. Then we get the spring. And then the first thing that counts as a modification is this, which I will I link it in the thing? I don't know where I got this file from. It was from Max on Telegram. Go to the Roger Charger channel and I'll have this linked in there. So this thing has two sides. One has a bevel and the other doesn't. The bevel side, that's an inside bevel, goes towards the collar because it has that thing. It just helps keep everything centered. So the thing I was talking about earlier where we want this nut to be kind of tight, that is because once we start trying to get this thing to turn to seat itself, we're going to accidentally unscrew that. So once you feel it budge just the littlest bit, stop, try to get some tension on here, tighten it back again, then figure out a new way to try to get it threaded back into this little hole here. So anyway, I'm going to use power tools because I'm lazy. So let's stop recording for a second. Hi everybody. Okay, so we've now taken both the shocks and removed the internal, we'll call it movement blocker, stroke blocker, whatever you want to call it. And now we're going to, actually we might have done some of this for the other side already, but now we've got both sides of the wheel undone, which makes it a lot easier to put back together because the thing can now move as far as we want because nothing's holding on to it. So we're gonna get both sides of the shocks put together back the way they were before, more or less, just with a little bit more distance in there. And it ain't a big deal at this point. So we're using these great little plastic things. They feel so cheap, by the way. You can't help but be a little disappointed if you, if you take your shock apart and you look inside and you see how the shock actually works, and then that little plastic thing. So it's not in the right spot, but as soon as you compress the shock once or twice, it'll do its thing. So getting the flat part to the spring, and that goes with the tapered part down because we probably are going to need little help getting that collar out of the way from this center part. But we're going to get both sides put together, kind of the opposite of what we did before, and I'll be back here in a few the next time I'm looking at something and I'm confused or concerned about it. Okay, kill the camera. All right, so I dropped it in place. The whole bottom of the thing is still all free to go, but we want to get these suspension-y things threaded in as far as we can first. So I've got this set for counterclockwise rotation, and we're going to hope that we got the those nuts in there as good as we can. So I know I'm turning it clockwise, but I just want to make sure everything is kind of in the right spot first. That seems like it's working very well. So there we go, it bottomed out. got that going. So we are going to try to get some grip on the shock and see if we can go any further. It's going a little further. Maybe I will try to do one of these with the impact driver just to get that nut super tight. And then we can try to use the drill gently to get it going a little further. So I keep looking at my hand. I'm like, oh God, I cut my thumb. No, it's more of that frickin' stuff from, you know. I feel like it shouldn't be squeaky like that. Is everything where it needs to be? Ugh. Oh, maybe it's just almost all the way done. All I could tell is that Eli's not going to have anything on this wheel squeaking for a while because the whole thing is covered in oil. Ooh, we did perfect. All right, so now we're going to slide this thing in because getting this thing in after the fact is a real pain in the butt. So we're going to have it there, and you can see it lines up here, but we're going to try to get the threads on this thing slid up far enough so that it will be a bit out of our way so we can get that little tool that came with your wheel into there to start cranking it. Not that big a deal if we don't, because you can kind of turn the spring and everything and get it to go. But I have that tool in the other room, but I think, let's see, maybe a 5, no, maybe a 6. Is it a 6? No, it's a 5. 5 is close enough to get this guy to turn. No, it's better to get the tool. Anyway, bye. Okay, on YouTube, everything looks easy. Everything goes off without any problems and things, and that's to the magic of editing. What we've edited out here was we were just putting this on from the bottom, and you screw it in and then you back it out a little bit to get it seated back into the thing in the bottom. So you're backing it out to get it going. I didn't realize the shaft was unscrewing with this tube, which opened up the top here, and we spilled all the oil back on the table. So I'm letting you know this. I could edit it out and I could pretend I'm perfect, but I'm only almost perfect. So what we've got going on, second thing also, shock upside down. I tried doing the air up to where the threads started. That was too much oil. So we actually went down past the threads by about 1 centimeter. So, which should be about half the thickness of the spacer that is linked in my Telegram channel. So now we've got this one here. The threads are fully seated into here. I'm gonna put a couple things to keep stuff where it belongs. We're gonna flip it over, do the same thing on the other side. Then I'm gonna mount the top of the shock just because I wanna be able to have all that flexibility of getting stuff moved around. You probably could do it in other orders and not have any problem with it, but anyway, it's not lazy, it's safe. So I'm gonna put in some of these screws, which are T25 Torx. And I don't know what the plural of Torx is, but we could just say that they're all Torx instead of Torxes, because that just sounds dumb. I'm not opposed to sounding dumb. That screw was down there before I got here. There we go. Now I feel a little bit better about flipping it over and doing the same thing on the other side, and I'm pretty sure things are gonna go smooth from here on out. All right, now, we forgot to mention one thing. A pencil. So it doesn't have to be a pencil, it has to be anything cylindrical. If it's shaped exactly like this, that's great. It doesn't matter that much. So in my wheel, I used a pencil. I've ridden on it, Mount Baldy, Intro to Speed, whatever, it's fine. So just a spacer. So what will happen is the little piece that's up here has a cavity in it, and the cavity is about that big. So I take the pencil and I cut a piece about half that length. And I do that on both of these little openings here at the top. Then I put everything together, and then these things will be jiggling inside. And you don't want that. So then you put enough pencil on the bottom so that that grub screw pinches this in there against the pencil on the top, pencil on the bottom, pencils everywhere, nothing but pencils, we're all happy. So if you're gonna be cutting a pencil, you definitely want to use a cutoff tool with all the protection removed from it, because that's what I do. So choose a dimension. It's about 10 centimeters, I don't know, right around there. So 3/4, that would be like 3/8 of an inch. There's one, next one. Always wear eye protection. Okay, let's see. So then these things just get shoved up in those holes. One there, and then the other one goes right over here. And then these rods, these little plasticky, rubbery things go on the bottom outside part of it. And right now, they're gonna just fall off because the wheel is not properly supported over here. That is one benefit of, remember I said take that whole plastic thing off? So to get the pedal hanger on, I use body weight. So I will put my weight on the wheel to get it to the right spot. So we will worry about that part when we get to it. And then we'll put these things on. They go between this thing and this thing, just to keep you from making that loud clanky noise when you top your suspension out. So we are going to get the first one on by putting the wheel on the ground, and I turn it on, and like when I do it by myself, I just droop my body over the front of the wheel so that I can get all my hands doing important hand stuff over there. So let's stage that and show you what that looks like. All right, we're off the table because the only time I'm on the table is when there's a lot of dollar bills flowing around. Just kidding. Okay, so I got one Torx T25 screw. I got my DeWalt impact driver ready to go. I'm gonna get this kind of ready to be put on there with the little rubber guys. Pencil pieces already where they need to be. So I will put this on the ground here with these two and start doing what I'm doing. Ooh, that sounded funny. I think we're leaking oil somewhere. Huh. Let's see. I can hear bubblies. I'm going to guess it because I can hear it on this side. Well, we'll examine that later. All right, let's at least do this for fun. Okay. So when I put weight on there, these little guys stick out. And there's 1, 2, 1 rubber grommet thingy, and 2. That little indent thing goes in the upward direction. All right, that's not far enough. We've got to get it actually on there. There we go. That looks, oh no, it sort of folded back again. I'm trying to get this thing flush with the battery boxes. Let's see. I think I lost both of them. Oh no, the other one's right here. Okay, but I'm having issues getting them seated properly, but let's try it again. I should have probably put Eli on the wheel because he's got more weight than me. Oh, you know what else I forgot? I need to take these little guys all the way out. So, as a matter of fact, the way I did this last time is I put this thing together and then I slid the rods in after the fact. Let's do that. So, we'll do sort of the same thing, but first I need my 6mm. I don't know why, they use 5 everywhere, but this thing is a 6. And the bottom, and that's not even a 6, I just grabbed like a other squeaky. Anyway, this is not a fun part of the recording, so let me get this part situated, figured out, and then I'll show you the proper way to do it right after I figure out what the proper way to do it is. So, we had a plan, didn't work out exactly as we wanted, but not a problem. So, we got one screw on this thing, the rod slid out, the piece of pencil fell out, but maybe we shouldn't call it a piece of pencil, we should call it the spacer, or something like that. That sounds a little fancier than pencil, but okay, so this now can get in there and we can tighten all the screws that we loosened to help make everything go where it needed to go. And this side of the wheel is pretty much done. Second side of the wheel is going to be even easier just because this sort of gets everything squared up and nice the way it's supposed to be. So, see these 2 screw holes that are sticking out the bottom? Those 2 used to be here and here. So there used to be 6 total. Now all we got is 4. Is that as good? No. Is it too bad? No. So mine's been like that for a little while and it's been treating me just fine. So I loosened up almost all the screws on this side just to make sure that everything went where I wanted it to go. So now we're going to tighten it down. We got to remember I also loosened up all the battery box ones. But we've got a little bit more stuff here to worry about, which is these little rods, they can slide up and down, right? So if we bottom this grub screw out in the hole, it still has room. So what we do, more pencil spacers, gonna put 1 in each of these holes, put these guys in, and then this side of the wheel is done, and all we have to worry about is taking 4.5 days to tension that spring, which is a lot of fun. Okay, I'll get to it. I'll be back in a while. All right, well, I turned on the wheel and we are tightening these little collary thingies down on the shocks, and I could tell that Eli runs about -2 degrees on his wheel. Is that right?
I have no idea.
All right. It's leaning forward. That's...
Oh, yeah. You're absolutely right.
What's the number?
-2.
-2. But yeah, so tightening these collars is probably the least fun part of this whole ordeal. As a matter of fact, it's about the only part of it that would make me say it is an ordeal. The rest of the whole thing was really not that bad, although we ran into a couple snags, mostly with the shocks deciding to puke out all their oil for no good reason. By no good reason, I mean I screwed up. But anyway, things happen. I charge by the job, not by the hour. No, we're just doing this for the video. So if you want help getting this done, ask somebody else. Just kidding. Maybe not, I don't know. So, when I was done on my wheel, I had this collar up to where I could get to it without putting any weight on the wheel. So it's already getting close to that right now. So let's see. How does this side look? Oh, it looks worse. So extra suspension, more responsive suspension, and blah, blah, blah. We've improved the wheel. If you want to do this for yourself, I hope I gave you enough information to make it happen. I'm probably going to post this video all on my own, and Eli is going to be doing maybe a little video saying whether or not it feels better or what he thinks of it. If I'm slow for processing my video, maybe I'll throw a little of him riding after the fact. We'll see. But in the meantime, I'll be doing this for the next few days. So I hope you enjoy your weekend, because I already know what I'm doing during mine. I'll catch you guys later. Peace. All right, so there's Eli. Eli on his wheel that we just did whatever. It's dark outside. I think we started on Thursday. Right now it's Saturday night. Let's see if he tries to drop a curb or something. So his shell is raised. Look at him testing a wheel that's just been worked on with no protective gear. What a crazy guy. So it does not feel better is what you're saying?
No, it feels better, but it's still stiff.
Well, we did the preload up as high as we could do,
really
so
I can do that at the house.
You could de-preload it. Just make sure you keep an eye on that silver thing, because you don't want that to unscrew.
Got it.
Okay. Well, I think we were successful at what we were trying to do. So hopefully he decides that it was worth us sacrificing all this time to do. It took a lot longer than I thought it would, because when I did my own wheel, this one, it went pretty quick and easy. His gave us some grief. It's been fun, been real fun. Catch you later. Oh, yeah, a word from Eli.
Roger's the man.
Well, the doctors said it's true, but, you know.
No, this is nice. Yeah.
Okay. He'll do a real ride and give it a real test and make up a real opinion about it. But now here's a little something funny. Hey, see that book? It's about shame and whatever, and it's just out there all torn apart, used as toilet paper. So whoever they gave it to ain't got no shame.